Eagle 95.1, WUPN, Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
It's time for The Game. Eagle 95.1 proudly brings you The Game, the Twin Sault's only regional and national sports show. For the next hour, we'll get an in-depth look at sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region and hear from coaches and players involved in The Game. Now, let's join Scott Nason at the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, for tonight's broadcast of The Game on Eagle 95.1.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game!
Greetings and salutations and welcome to The Game on this Monday night, July 16th, 2018. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on a little bit cooler day after a very hot and humid weekend. Temperatures a little more reasonable for those that don't like the heat. I like the heat, but I also like the breaks from time to time. And we're going to get one over the next few days, but it looks like it's going to warm up, at least towards the middle or end of this week. We'll be joined here in our next segment by our special guest, Marcus Davis. He is a basketball coach, also runs a camp, and he has a big one coming up next week, so Coach Davis is going to talk to us about that. We'll be joined also by Katie Wollan from Eagle 95.1 on the sales team, who's going to be talking about, well, whatever sport she chooses. Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports will join us to get us up to date on the scene in Detroit as far as sports. Then we'll be joined by Dave McCaig for the roundtable portion of the show. Now you can find the game online at thegamesportshow.com or the podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. You can also find our other shows, including Dave McCaig, who has 3 shows in Sioux, Ontario: Boston Pizza, Sports Center Bar and Grill, and the newest host of the Game Sports Show, Silver Creek Golf Course. And you can find those shows at thegamesportshow.com. And we're here at the Wicked Sister. Come on and join us for the live broadcast. And, well, the Wicked Sister has another tap takeover coming up here shortly. They had a big one this past week. Lots of people down here for that one. And they're going to have another one on Thursday, July 26th. So a week from this Thursday, Pigeon Hill Tap will be coming to the Wicked Sister, taking over all 8 taps. They'll start at 11 a.m., and Michael from the brewery will be here at the Wicked Sister around 5. And earlier, Kathy was on Eagle 95.1 talking about this event during our Eagle on Tap segment. We're going to start off with local sports. And while we start off on a very sad note, as former Soo Greyhound goaltender and NHL player Ray Emery passed away yesterday morning after drowning swimming in Hamilton, Ontario. The former NHL goalie played 287 games over 11 seasons with the Ottawa Senators, Philadelphia Flyers, Chicago Blackhawks, and Anaheim Ducks, winning the Stanley Cup with the Blackhawks in 2013. Former Soo Greyhounds general manager and current Toronto Maple Leafs general manager Kyle Dubas said that the news was sad and shocking. Quote, "I was fortunate to be around Ray at the very start of his promising career in Sault Ste. Marie, where we drafted him in 1999, and then right at the end of his career, where he played for us in 2016-17 with the Toronto Marlies. Ray had battled through an injury that typically ends most athletes' careers. Ray's smile and intelligence made him a magnetic personality. You always rooted for him to reach his vast potential even as he went through the many ups and downs of his playing career. My deepest condolences to his family and friends for their loss," unquote. Emery played for the Hounds from 1999 to 2002. He was OHL goaltender of the year during one of those stints, and the ongoing investigation as far as what caused the drowning is continuing, according to police in the area. And so our thoughts and condolences with the hockey family and the family of Ray Emery, who passed away yesterday at the age of 35. And Dave McCaig, on his show last night, the Game Sports Show from Silver Creek Golf Course, had a lot more to say about that as well. Another Soo Greyhoudns note, as their defenseman, Rasmus Sandin, who was drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round of June's NHL entry draft. Well, the Leafs locked up Mr. Sandin, a 3-year entry-level deal. Sandin says, quote, "So proud and honored to sign my first NHL contract. Thanks to all the people around for helping me with everything. Teammates, coaches, staffs, friends, agents, and family. You are special, excited for this opportunity." So congratulations to Mr. Sandin signing a 3-year entry-level contract today. Other notes in Sioux, Ontario as far as football. The Sioux SaberCats won their 4th straight game over the weekend. After starting 1-2, the SaberCats won on Saturday against the Oakville Titans by the score of 33-20 at Superior Heights. With the win, the SaberCats are now 5-2 in second place in the Ontario Football Conference. As guest on the Game Sports Show last week at Sports Center Bar and Grill, quarterback Jordan Robinson-Wright finished the day completing 10 passes for 137 yards and a touchdown to go along with a rushing touchdown. The SaberCats, they're scheduled to return to action on July 21st when they wrap up regular season action at home against the North Halton Crimson Tide. The Sioux Steelers, they won their home finale on Saturday night as they completed the home portion of the schedule in a Northern Football Conference play, shutting out the North Bay Bulldogs by the score of 35-0 at Rocky DiPietro Field. The Steelers will wrap up regular season action on July 21st on the road when they take on the Sarnia Imperials. Here on the American side of the border, not a whole lot of sports going on, but we do know this, that the high school football season, at least the practice portion of the season, is just 3 weeks away, as teams from across the state will begin practice in football on Monday, August 8th, along with volleyball, cross country, and boys soccer. Now, football in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and the Upper Peninsula going to have a different look for the 8-player divisions, as there will be an all-UP conference this season, as the Great Lakes 8 Conference will have EUP teams, including Brimley, Cedarville, Engadine, Pickford, and Rudyard, as they will join Superior Central and Rapid River in the East. The Western Conference has 6 teams from Kearney-Nadeau, Crystal Falls Forest Park, Powers North Central, North Dickinson, Ontonagon, and Stevenson. The season will begin on August 23rd locally with Engadine at North Central and Pickford at Mesick. Rudyard will be at North Dickinson. August 24th, Brimley will host Kearney-Nadeau. Cedarville is at home to Stevenson. Sioux High, which will play 11-player football. They're going to be an independent once again this season, and they will open up play on August 24th at Sheboygan. While St. Ignace and Newberry, they're playing 11-player football in the Northern Michigan Football Conference Legacy Division, as the Saints will open up play August 24th at Gladstone, while Newberry will be at Frankfort on that day. And then you're also going to have some volleyball tournaments in late August. Cross-country meets will begin, as well as boys soccer. So we're only about 3 weeks away from the high school sports season. And when we do get to that point, at least when the game starts, the game will be back on WUPN Eagle 95.1. We are online only through the summer months, but we'll be back on the Eagle, and we are definitely looking forward to that. And one other local sports note, the softball tournament will be held this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on the 8th Avenue Field. So if you want to get out and see some great youth softball, they'll have 3 different divisions, 12 and under, 14 and under, and 16 and under. And the schedule, I just received the schedule because I'm going to be umpiring many games in that tournament. And the weather right now looks pretty good, but if you get a chance, go out and support local softball, as it's always a fun tournament. We're going to take our first break here on the game, enjoy some nice beverages and appetizers from Scott and the entire staff here at the Wicked Sister. We come back. We're going to talk basketball with one of the best basketball minds in the area, and he has one of the toughest camps in the area as well. His name's Marcus Davis. He's going to tell us all about what he does and his camp, which is called Grindhouse BSD. We're going to learn more about him, more about his camps, and how you can sign up and future camps that he will hold as well. That's coming up on The Game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
Welcome back to The Game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Scott Nason back at the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this Monday night. We'll be joined by Katie Wollan coming up in our next segment. We have our special guest that has just arrived. His name is Marcus Davis, and he is a basketball coach and also runs some basketball camps. Now, I've had a chance to see him here and there over the years and broadcasting at Lake State and just being involved in basketball, but this is the first time that I've had a chance to sit down and talk to Coach Davis. So, Marcus, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Well, appreciate you coming in, Marcus. And one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here is because you've started to advertise on our station, Eagle 95.1, for your basketball camp coming up next week. Tell us a little bit about this camp, because I know this is not just your average Sunday stroll in the gym. This is a pretty intense basketball camp. What is it called? What do you do? And is it still too late to sign up if anybody's out there interested?
So my camp is called Grindhouse BSD 5-day camp. BSD is for basketball skill development. Will be our third annual camp. Like you said, it's a pretty intense camp. I started it out in Brimley, actually.
Right.
So it's progressed and got harder over the years, I would say.
So you get 35 hours of on-court time with these individuals. Is there an age limit as far as who can attend, or what are the age limits at this point?
I would say 11 and up.
Okay. And you have can you, like, is it pretty much high school based? Is it middle school, or is it kind of all around?
Yeah, it's all around.
Okay. What are some of the things that you do now? I know in looking at your materials before the interview, it's one of those things it's almost like boot camp, because I was in the Navy, and I know at boot camp they kind of, for lack of a better term, tear you down before they build you back up. And one of the things that you look at, not only are the things that these individuals do well, but things they can improve on. Is it tough love, or just give us an idea of what it is?
Yeah, it's a lot of tough luck, actually. It's actually how I learned how to play basketball, getting beat down and learning from your mistakes and taking it from there.
Now, you played basketball here at Lake State. Where did you play high school basketball?
I played high school basketball in Romulus, Michigan.
Okay, so you're down in Romulus there. Butch Davis, who's our next guest, he's very close to that area as well. How did you get to Lake State? Was it Coach Henninga that recruited you, and how was your path to Lake State?
It was actually a long one. I started out, I played junior college. I played at Kirtland Community College in Mayo, Michigan. Then I ended up going across the border, getting a full-ride scholarship to Algoma University. My now wife, came to Lake State to be close to me. I ended up transferring over, walking on to Lake State and earning a scholarship.
And I believe you graduated in 2017?
Yes.
Okay, and how did you know that you wanted, at what point did you decide, you know what, I really want to start one of these camps, I want to get into coaching? Whereabouts during your progress or your progression through your college basketball did you realize you wanted to do this more?
Well, it was actually when I was a kid.
Okay.
My uncle is John Long, who played for the Detroit Pistons.
Really?
He used to have camps that I could never attend. So as I got older, I always wanted to do that. I was like, I want to hold a camp like my uncle. So now I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that.
Well, that's fantastic. And one of the players that we were discussing before we went on the air, one of the first players that you coached, Marcus Harris, one of my favorite athletes in the EUP. He's a senior this year in Brimley already. My goodness sakes, I can't believe he's a senior. But he's a lot of fun to watch and to broadcast. And you've been working with him. Unfortunately, he's had a lot of injuries here, but he's ready to go. And you said he's had a pretty good summer as far as playing, has he not?
Yeah, my guy is a fighter for sure.
Yeah, he is. And I always say Marcus gives you on court that X factor as far as things that you can't coach. And no offense, I'm sure you've coached him many things, but doesn't he just have that natural basketball IQ and just ability that is really hard to coach, isn't it?
Yeah, he sees the game ahead of his time, I would say. So he plays hard on defense. That's what I love about him. And that's what drew me to him when I first met him. So
now, has he been part of these camps in the past?
Yeah, he was pivotal to the start of these camps.
So if somebody wanted to join this camp coming up next week, Marcus, how do they go about doing so? What is the cost, and how do they get a hold of you?
They can go on our website, www.grindhousebsd.com, and go under our Contact Us services. They can email us. The cost is $300. We do have sibling discounts. We also are giving out scholarships for those who aren't financially stable enough to otherwise be able to afford the camp. So that was something big that I wanted to do.
Absolutely. And some of the other camps that you have, Marcus, throughout the year, you have Beginners Basketball Clinic coming up in the fall. Does that, obviously beginners, but is there an age range there? And what time, or do you have an idea of the dates on that one yet?
We haven't hashed out the dates yet, but it's usually from, I think the youngest kid we've had in there was 4 years old up to around 12. It's really for kids who've never played basketball and want to learn the right way. So we take our time. That's usually a 5-week clinic. We do every Sunday for 2 hours, and we take it for 5 weeks.
You also do some coaching, I believe, elementary basketball coaching. I think you were coaching against my son in 4th grade this year, one of the Wadding teams, I believe. Yep. How was that experience? A little different.
Yeah, most definitely. I love the 4th grade.
Isn't it fun?
I coach the boys and the girls, so.
It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it was the most intense basketball I've ever been a part of, it seems like.
It is. It really is a lot of fun. And, and that's the beginning levels. And what's your goals for the camp next week as far as what you would like to see with these athletes? How do you want them to come out of that camp as far as, things that they learn? What are some of the things you're looking for?
Some things I'm looking for. I want them to have a higher basketball IQ. I want them to know what real hard work feels like, because if you want to play basketball at the next level, it's almost like a job,
right?
And you have to be ready to go to study table, go to class, go to workouts, go to practice, and then have to do your homework after.
Marcus Davis joining us on the game. Again, if you want to find out more about his organization, Grindhouse BSD, which is Basketball Skill Development, you can do so by going online at grindhousebsd.com. They'll have a camp coming up next week, and that's located at Lake Superior State University inside the gymnasium?
Yes, in the Bud Cooper.
What are the times on that?
It starts at 9 a.m. and ends at 4.
So if you have some youngsters that really want to take it to the next level as far as basketball, they're going to get a very intense and very good training session next week. Marcus, anything else you want to discuss here on the game before we let you go?
No, that'll be it.
Well, we appreciate you coming in. John Long, we're going to have fun with our guest, Butch Davis. I believe he knows John Long, so I'll have to throw that one out there. Thanks for coming in, Marcus. And, again, anytime you want to get anything out there, You always have a spot here on the game, and best of luck next week in the camp.
All right, thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. And we'll be back with Katie Wollan coming up next on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
The Wicked Sister, Soo, Michigan. Check TripAdvisor, ranked right towards the top. Awarded the Certificate of Excellence, as well as voted #1 pub in the UP. The Wicked Sister has managed to create a casual menu that offers unique, creative, and sometimes healthy offerings that rivals menu selections of any big city. Burgers and starters, snacks and shareables, soups and salads, sandwiches and tapas. On Ashman Street, Soo, Michigan. Welcome to the Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sports Center rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sports Center, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Saturday I took a walk to zip her head. I met a girl there, it's young, there's nothing dead. Oh God, girl, please look at me. What do you see? Let's travel around the world, just you and me, punk rock girl.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or if you like YouTube, you can find us at the Scott Nason channel. Scott Nason, broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this Monday night. Come on down and join us here at the Wicked Sister. Temperature's much cooler out there than it was this weekend, and want to thank Marcus Davis, our guest in our last segment. Will be joined by Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports. I wonder if they're related, Katie. I just put that together. Maybe they are related.
I didn't even think of that either,
I didn't
Scott.
either until there. And then we'll be joined by Dave McCaig in our roundtable segment. Joined right now, as I mentioned, Katie Wollan joining us at the Wicked Sister, the newest sales rep for WUPN Eagle 95.1. Katie, thanks for coming in tonight on the game.
Scott, it's always a pleasure to be here with you.
We appreciate you coming in, Katie. And before we get to the topic you wanted to talk about, man, was it hot this weekend. And I was at the beach a lot of the weekend, so I didn't get a chance to get down to the Gus Macker. But I want to know, first of all, how hot was it playing out there? You guys must have just sweating to the oldies, so to speak.
So luckily we had a morning game, so that was at 9. So it wasn't too bad. It was probably like 70-ish, but it was cloudy, so it wasn't bad. As soon as the sun hit around noon, everyone was just baking, and it was just not fun. Obviously, it was still fun playing, but the heat itself was not fun, Scott.
Now, who was on your team this year?
Well, who was on my team was players that I've known for a long time, grew up with, played high school basketball with.
Throw names out there.
Soo High alum, all right.
Throw some names out there.
I'll throw out Callie Brosco and Alexa Jones.
Oh, wow. You got a couple good players. So now how did your team do?
We are the winners of the losers
What?
bracket.
Well, there you go. So you got a trophy?
We did get a trophy.
That's fantastic.
And
So how many games did you end up playing?
We ended up playing 4.
Okay.
Wait, 1, 2, yeah, 4.
So you went 3-1. Went 2-2.
2-2.
Okay, but you still won the losers bracket.
Yes, we won the losers
bracket. That's fantastic.
We got a toilet bowl. We got like a little toilet trophy.
Okay, well, hey, you had fun out there, and there are a lot of teams there. Was there a lot of people out watching the event this year?
Oh, yeah, it was a great turnout. The kids especially side, a lot of people come out for that, so that was great to be a part of, because we want those kids to start out at such a young age. I know I started out at such a young age playing these Gus Mackers, or Red Hackers is what it was.
Right.
So I want them to continue playing when they get older, just like me.
Now, do you think you could hang in Marcus Davis's camp there? That's pretty intense.
Wow. Honestly, I actually worked that camp with him last year, and I got to give it to all those kids. That's a hard camp.
I know.
I know he bases that off of kind of what he learned from Lake State Division II coaches, and it's definitely tough. I think I could do it, but I would be dying.
And a lot of these kids aren't used to being talked to like that.
No,
by
exactly.
parents, by coaches.
Yes.
And so it's a good experience, and hopefully we get a lot of people to sign up. Well, Katie, before we get to Butch Davis, who will give us an update on the Detroit sports scene, you wanted to kind of give a sneak peek on the Detroit Pistons and a new signing. Now, it's not LeBron, it's not Durant, it's not a big splashy name. But maybe he may not be the sexiest player, but do you think he might be a good player for the Pistons? His name is Zaza Pachulia. He signed, I believe, a one-year deal yesterday for the Detroit Pistons. You wanted to talk about it, so give us your thoughts.
All right, so yes, Scott, like you said, 1 year, $2.4 million deal. He's coming from the defending champs, Golden State Warriors, who have won the last 2 seasons.
3 out of 4.
3 out of 4, yes. And he was the starter, not necessarily last year, but the starting center the 2016-17 season. He's a veteran player. He's 15. He's been in the NBA for 15 years now, so he's 34 years old. But I'm actually kind of excited. Him being older, I know Andre Drummond's going to get all the playing time here for the Pistons, but I think he'll be a great backup for Andre Drummond, because I know in the past Drummond hasn't had much of a backup, and just in my opinion, like I've always gotten scared of someone coming in for Drummond, because he's just so lethal, with his height and his rebounding and just his energy on the floor. So I think Zaza will be a great addition to Dwayne Casey's plan for the Detroit Pistons coming up here soon, Scott.
Yeah, and one of the things that I do like about this, Katie, is the fact that he's a 15-year NBA veteran. He's played on winning teams. I mean, he was the starting center on that team for a time, so he's not a slouch. I like the fact that he could mentor a guy like Andre Drummond, who maybe needs that veteran presence on the squad, which he hasn't really had. I mean, he's been in that role for a long time, and not as much on the court with him as maybe more off the court, because you look at Drummond's game last year, he came a long way. I think, compared to where he was. And it wasn't just how his stats and everything. I think it's just how he approached the game, and how at times a couple years ago he looked like he either lost interest or maybe something else. He looked, he was solid last year. He had a big improvement, and I think a guy like this guy can possibly, be that mentor that Drummond just hasn't had.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you, Scott. And I think Andre Drummond here, I haven't looked up anything on what he thinks about it, but I'm sure he's pretty psyched to have Zaza. And also Zaza's presence. Like you said, being a 2-time NBA champ in the past 2 years, he's going to bring that mentality, that winning mentality, over to the Pistons. And also with the brand new coach, Dwayne Casey, who everyone seems to adore and respect, I think we could have a good Pistons team coming up here soon, Scott.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not going to log a lot of minutes. This is a guy that's not very, swift on his feet, but, he's probably going to be sharing the floor with a Stanley Johnson, Glenn Robinson, a new addition, John Lure, Henry Ellison, maybe even Blake Griffin if he's healthy. So, you knew the Pistons didn't have a lot of room to make any moves. So would you say, given the conditions that they're under financially with the salary cap, that maybe this is as good as they probably could have done?
I think you're right, Scott. I think Dwayne Casey and the staff for the Detroit Pistons did a pretty good job with that salary cap, because I feel more confident. I'm sure they feel more confident with their backup 4s and 5s because they have struggled in the past with that.
Now, we talked about this with Butch last week. He not a big fan at all of the NBA summer camps, if you will, the Summer Development League. I saw the Pistons did lose to the Lakers yesterday. LeBron was there, not playing, but he was there.
Showed up, yes.
Any interest by you on the Summer League? I mean, I'll watch it just because I'm not really into baseball too much, but NBA Summer League, you buying it?
I'm kind of like in between with you and Butch. I've been trying to watch a couple games here and there, but I haven't finished like a full game.
No.
If it's on TV, I'm going to be like, okay, I'll watch a little bit, and then, it's nothing special. It's nice to see some of the rising stars, but I just kind of look up the stats at the end, but definitely more excited for the real NBA season coming up.
The Pistons also retained winger guard Reggie Bullock by exercising their team option, $2.5 million last year. He did have a breakout season, career highs of 11 points, 2.5 rebounds. So Bullock, this isn't a guy that's going to jump off the page, but do you think that's a good move?
I think it is, because his 3-point shot is phenomenal, especially in like clutch situations. And I think he does bring a sort of energy to the court that the Pistons are looking for in their culture and going forward.
Katie, we're going to have you take a break here and enjoy a beverage or maybe even an appetizer here at the Wicked Sister. We're going to hear from Butch Davis coming up next, and then you'll join us once again on the round table with Butch and hopefully Dave not too long, because you know Dave, he's a busy guy.
Yes.
He's got 3 shows in Sault, Ontario. He's got a full-time job. I think the modeling gig is going well for him, so we'll get to him. So thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you here in a little bit.
Thanks, Scott.
And we'll be back with Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports, who has a lot to say about what's going on in the world of sports. That's coming up next on The Game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get wicked at Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for you and your family. Start off with some wicked appetizers like the crab dip, served with soft pretzel bites and warm non-bread strips, and delicious boneless chicken wings that are antibiotic and hormone-free with 5 choices of sauces. Try the barbecue pulled pork sandwich or the #1 selling drunken cow burger and the chicken caprese flatbread. Check out the Wicked Sister gluten-free menu and catering. The Wicked Sister, downtown, Ashman Street, 7 days a week.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsoo.as.me-. The Salon, making the Sioux beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Superior Pro Shop. The Superior Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Superior Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful, new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Check out our brand new website up and running now at thegamesportshow.com. There you can find past broadcasts of all our shows from the Wicked Sister in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and Boston Pizza and Sports Center Bar and Grill in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. As well, you can find our brand new t-shirts available for just $25 a shirt. All sizes are available, and proceeds will go towards Northern Critters in Need and Big Brother, Big Sister of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Now you can purchase the shirt by emailing thegamesportshowssm@gmail.com. Please state the total amount of shirts and size needed. They have payment options available, e-transfer, or cash upon delivery, as a shirt can be delivered to your location if you live in the Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and Ontario area free of charge. TheGameSportsShow.com, where you find all your local, regional, and national sports that you just can't get enough of. Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or on YouTube. Just look for the Scott Nason channel. Coming up in our next segment, we'll have our round table. We'll invite back Katie Wollan, and we'll be joined later on by Dave McCaig, host of the Game Sports Show in Sault, Ontario. I want to thank Katie and our guest, Marcus Davis, for joining us, and we're joined by another good friend with the last name Davis. His name is Butch Davis from the Telegram News and the radio show Butch on Sports, as Butch joins us each and every week to get us up to date on what's going on in the Metro Detroit sports scene. Butch, how you doing on this Monday night?
Trying to stay cool, waiting for the rain to come. It's faking us out 2 or 3 times here, but it's going to come sooner or later here.
We had the cool front, not cold front, but cool front pass here earlier today, so it's definitely cooled off here. And Butch, I put the connection, or made the connection with our guest and you, Marcus Davis, when he said he was from Romulus. I was like, and he's the cousin of John Long, the former Detroit Piston. I said, well, Butch Davis got to know this guy. So, hey, we're reuniting people on the game.
If you mentioned the Telegram news to the guy, he would probably know me there. But definitely there, because Romulus is one of my snake in the grounds that I do cover there.
Absolutely. Well, Butch, let's make the grounds and look at some of the topics going on in the Metro Detroit sports scene. The Tigers are not in action tonight. They did win yesterday. Roughed up Justin Verlander, but they're pretty much limping into the All-Star game. Tigers out of contention, which is no surprise. Give us an update on, what's gone wrong, I guess, with the Tigers as of late.
Well, what's gone wrong is, this is just my take on the situation this first half, or should I say 60% of the season's already been played, is that right now I think the coaches are a little soft on the Tigers there. It seems like when they're putting in new people from Toledo there, the spirit gets a little higher there, or the players try a little harder there. And I think the coach, Gardenheimer, need to use that Toledo roster there to its fullest advantage. And when players are not doing their job or basically putting up their all, sit them down there to get some work. He has a prime position to be able to do that with his players. Let's use, for instance, yesterday when the Tigers beat Justin Verlander, they seem to get keyed up for particular games like that, but games like when Cincinnati was down and out, they get swept. And that's all about attitude. That's all about demeanor. That's all about changing your mindset. That's all about you going in the locker room after the game and saying, this is baseball. Who wants to hear that, okay? Baseball is fun when you win. Any sport is fun when you win, especially when you try your hardest there. Now, I've seen peaks and valleys of the Tigers doing a lot better job and maintaining themselves in particular games, but holding leads and whatever it may be, that needs to be worked on. If I was the coach of the Tigers, which I am not, I would say that these players need to show up right after the All-Star break on Wednesday to practice and do everything they possibly can at Comerica Park in order to get in shape, in order to be in one key, to play a little bit more small baseball there, bunting, and some of the basics that baseball has to offer in order to manufacture runs, and also get the pitching staff in shape there. It's now time to bring up some players that want to pitch, okay? And we don't have that right now. We don't have that consistency at all.
Yeah, the Tigers right now, Butch, 41-57, 12.5 games behind Cleveland in third place in the AL Central. And they will resume action after the All-Star break at home on Friday for a weekend set against the first place and best in baseball, Boston Red Sox. Butch, Detroit Lions news today, no long-term deal for Lions Pro Bowl defensive end Zigan Ansha. I always mispronounce his last name. He will play 2018, but a long-term future deal is in doubt. Give us your comments on that and the Detroit Lions as they're going to be starting training camp very soon.
Well, Ziggy Ansah is a very smart man, okay? Right now, for him, number one, and the Lions, I would say, is a very smart corporation as well. Let me look at it on the Lions half there. You can't sign someone who basically can't play half the season, okay?
Right.
And Ziggy Ansah has done that at least the last 2 seasons, maybe 3, okay, since he's been here. He's not played a full season. That's a hard cry to gauge someone and getting them an extension there. Although he's making $17 million as of the franchise tag being placed on him there, I think the best route for the Lions is to allow him to play it out. Now, Ansah makes the season, does his very, very best, and he would basically have an argument for getting a raise or getting some type of extension to the Lions. Maybe not so much the max, but a good extension where it guarantees him some guaranteed money. That's not happening right now. And right now, that's a good move for both of them. I think Anza needs to come in there in a better shape to play football. I think the Lions are doing the very best to say, hey, look, if this guy is dedicated, want to be here, and want to do the job, he'll do the best to stay in shape or to keep from being injured there. Some things are unavoidable there. But a lot of Anza's injuries are nagging injuries that just basically take the Lions can't depend on them.
Moving on, Butch, to the Detroit Pistons. I know you were glued to your television set over the weekend as they lost in their summer league. Their run ended with a 101-78 loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. Henry Ellison scored 22 points for the Pistons in that one. Anything that you wanted to add about the Pistons?
Yeah, shameful game here.
Brutal.
Very shameful game. The day before, they played a pretty meaningful game, but yet still got behind and almost lost the lead, and then recaptured the lead and able to get over the hump. It was a very low score indeed in that particular game, but the next day, the Lakers got a hold to them, and with some enthusiasm with LeBron James sitting in the stands, they showed their oats and beat the crap out of the Pistons there. So right now, those Pistons young bucks there have to get it together in a manner that they need some work, and some work has to be done in getting them in shape. Henry Ellison, I will give him a C in this particular there. Although he scored 22 points, he hasn't showed the consistency of shooting of his capabilities. There's also his defense somewhat has lagged at times during the game and whatnot, for what I see in there. He has to make better decisions as well there. He's not the only go-to guy. You know, when he uses his wits, okay, in which he has them, finding men and finding people who are loose and can shoot the ball, he's can't miss it. But again, this is a guy who's supposed to be a prolific shooter and hasn't shown me that prolificity at all, okay, especially at the three-point line, which, by the way, Casey is vowing that his team has to do in order to win games now.
Butch, I mentioned this in our first segment because it was a local story as far as a former Soo Greyhoudns player, but sad news yesterday in the world of hockey as a goaltender, former Soo Greyhoudns goaltender and NHL player Ray Emery, 35 years old, died Sunday morning after drowning in Lake Ontario. As just another sad story in the hockey world, which has unfortunately had too many sad stories over the last few months.
Yes, we've had some pitiful ones at best. This guy trying to save someone in the water, and he got overcome by his actions there. Emery was a pretty doggone easygoing guy when you got to see him in the Philadelphia locker room when they come into town. And even if he played or he did not, he was always available for interviews. He was always very catching. I'd say the best athletes in town when it comes down to availability concern has always been the National Hockey League there. And he's one of the best that I've seen come out of there and give some time and effort there. And basically, especially when he played or done a good job or done a very poor job indeed, he always made himself available. He was always reachable. He always was talkative. It's sad to hear about that, especially when you personally know someone or has come in contact with him for so many years, and now he's gone.
Moving on to the Detroit Red Wings, Butch, Anthony Mantha was signed to a 2-year deal last week. Wanted to talk about that, and I guess I have a question for you because I know it's been a hot topic in the Detroit area as far as retired numbers. It seems to be a split decision as far as retiring the number 91, Sergei Fedorov, for the Detroit Red Wings. Your thoughts on that?
That should have been retired a long time ago.
I agree.
I don't agree with the Red Wings' philosophy on how they do things at times. It seems like if you're not a big smoocher, and you can interpret that as many ways as you want. Sergei Fedorov was always a person, again, he was very outspoken. He never lacked coming out for words when it comes down to ability of himself and the ability of the team. And during the times when, again, during the heydays of Detroit, there were some times that they did not count on Sergei Fedorov the way they had in the past, and kind of shoved him in the rear. However, his ability to change his game was a big reason why the Detroit Red Wings would win the Stanley Cups and whatnot there. Yzerman was the same way. You know, they were prolific scorers, but when they changed their game and started playing defense, that's when the Red Wings started winning. They also were better influences to other players on the team to do likewise there. I think it's wrong that the Red Wings wait this long for someone who very much so is deserving. When the National Hockey League has honored this guy and put him in the Hall of Fame, and also the Michigan Hall of Fame as well, why is it taking you so ungodly long to honor this man in the way he should be honored? He's one of the first foreign players to come over here and that we had to take a risk on, and he showed that he belonged. He showed that he appreciated the work that everyone had done to get him out of Russia in order to play some meaningful hockey and also make some meaningful money as well. So, again, the Red Wings is falling short when it comes down to doing some things that should be done in a more classical way there.
I totally agree with you, Butch, 100%. Butch Davis joining us on The Game. You can find his show on our podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or go to his podcast page, Simply Butch2, that's too.podomatic.com. A couple other little items I wanted to mention, Butch, that I saw in the news today. Both involve Ford Field. First of all, Ford Field will not be hosting an NCAA Final Four in basketball for the years 2023 through 2026, as they were one of 7 finalists. The committee chose Houston in 23, Phoenix in 24, San Antonio in 25, and Indy in 26. And the other thing I wanted to mention is there has been talk of the Ford Field potentially getting a retractable roof, this to accommodate a potential MLS bid. So, Butch, your comments on both those topics.
Oh, boy, those are near and dear to my heart. First and foremost is we all had the impression that it was going to be a retractable roof at Ford Field. That did not happen, okay? And that's been a downfall with at least the Lions, per se, on their planning when they built that stadium there. It should have been a retractable roof. There are days during the fall and maybe some days during the winter that roof can be open, and it'll be a much attractable place to play anything, MLS or grow real grass, and the list goes on and on and on. I know that you can put some real grass in there, but again, to pull it on out to let it die and got to find somewhere else to play it, that's kind of cost-consuming there. And the MLS, as you know, don't play on artificial turf. They play on real grass. So that has to be taken care of if they're going to use that venue. Item number 2 for the NCAA. I was there during the championship time for the NCAA. One of the things that Detroit has to come to terms with, and this is the city, not so much Detroit Lions because they don't have anything to do with it. The city has to put up better hotels, more hotels within the reach of downtown Detroit. They have not done that, and also transportation has not been the way it should be. That has cost the city of Detroit many people who want to come in there and set up shop here. It has not, because of the transportation problem and people getting around. Sometimes you don't want to pay $20 and $40 doggone dollars to park your doggone car when you can maybe leave your car at the hotel, per se, and take some type of transit that'll get you around the city of Detroit, or at least the downtown area. And that has been very poor indeed there. So they have to change that mindset, and that means they have to get a hold of people in the city, DDOT as well as SMART, and also change that particular concept, and also get some hotels built here that is not so much more expensive, but somewhat economical for people to stay when they come into town. They should not have to go to Troy or come out and stay at the airport in order to get to downtown Detroit, where it's a shuttle system, maybe or maybe not be in place for them to do so. They got to look at availability, and for people to get around the city of Detroit, that has been a downswing for the city and also Detroit Lions or anybody else who wants to bid and get people to come into town and do their business here, or maybe a major sporting event.
Butch, we got about 5 more minutes in our segment. I do want to mention, we alluded to it last week, that the high school sports season for 2018-2019 will begin 3 weeks from today with practices, and boy, let's hope it cools down a bit for the players in the pads, as high school football will start in 3 weeks with practices, along with the boys and girls cross country, boys soccer. You also have some swimming teams as well as volleyball. So, Butch, we got a few weeks to kind of relax, and coming up here in a little over a month, let the games begin.
I'm gonna do a simple article on schools that basically are not doing the very much so job. And it's a good thing you mentioned soccer per se there, and that kind of entwined with the USA and the USA committee on soccer in this country here. Again, they're missing the boat in getting kids more or less involved, especially in the urban areas, of getting them involved in soccer. Many of the schools do not offer it or even make a plan to offer it there. And if the USA is going to be somewhat hospitable when it comes down to these World Cups is concerned, you got to get kids involved in these particular sports. Once upon a time, you can depend on the public school system. Now, I'm just talking the public school system in general, of offering those particular sports or getting you admitted to the sport in general there, okay? And it's not happening anymore. I think athletic programs are poor, especially in urban cities lately here. They seem to want to go for the big money shows such as football and basketball, but no attention is being made by soccer and whatnot there. That's when the USA committees and teams and whatnot there, they have to put their oath and put their stamp into play, especially in urban cities, of getting kids involved there. And they're going to have to do a more masterful job to build up the system of soccer in this country. This is not an exclusive club anymore when it comes down to playing soccer. And the USA has done that in the past. They got to be inclusive and involve all the kids in there, all the kids who want to participate in it, because they'll have a better pick of the chick when it comes down to getting kids to bring up at maybe the age of 16 and 17 years old to explore, train them, and get them ready for the big stage, which is the World Cup and country representation there.
Good stuff there, Butch. We'll talk more about the World Cup in our roundtable. I didn't get a chance to watch it last night, Butch, but Extreme Rules happened in the WWE. We haven't talked much of the WWE as of late, but one thing I wanted to talk about was that fall from the top of the steel cage. Kevin Owens, as he was thrown off the cage by Braun Strowman, reminding us 20 years ago of a similar thing that happened when Mick Foley was dropped through the announce table. Did you see that particular event, and did you have a chance to watch any of the Extreme Rules? If so, what did you think about it?
No, I did not.
Me neither.
No, not at all. And the reason being, I think the WWE right now is failing when it comes down to putting some hospitable matches up there.
Yep.
I think they got too many individuals who are not regulars on television anymore. And you know who they are, okay?
Yep.
They're going to have to do a better job of missing matches there, okay? I mean, and then also the character representation of the particular people in play there, who's a heel and who's not a heel, and making them something that they're not there. I think it's a doggone shame that the Shield is not reunited. I think that gave them promise of a good set of people being played. You could deal with them individually there. Now, we know there's injuries come and go as it goes along, but again, the WWE has not the last year and a half has put on quality matches or pit people with, matches that we can enjoy and also move on and see the next match in the play. They seem like they want to kind of just mow it into the ground. And right now, people are getting tired of it. They know what to expect, and it's going to turn people off.
Butch Davis joining us on the game. Butch, any other topics that you want to discuss before we go to our roundtable?
Well, in the 28th of the month here, we do believe that Manchester United and also Liverpool's coming into the University of Michigan. Yours truly will be there.
Oh, man. Oh, you're killing me, Butch.
Yours truly was there. His credentials came in. His notification of credentials was in as of this weekend. I was very happy to receive that there, and wait for further notice on where I can park my car or how I'm gonna do this, that, and the other. But I'm excited to see that particular match. That's going to be a friendly, of course. There,
yep.
So we're not going to see maybe the main people in the play in order to get in shape. But again, right around the corner is the Premier League, and I'm quite sure. Hopefully, they put on a great match or a great show where we get to see almost anybody who's supposed to be in there who's a main call for the Premier League.
We're looking forward to that, Butch, and we'll have a show on the 30th to get a full report of that one. Butch Davis joining us on the game. Again, you can find him on our podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, where you can find his shows, Butch on Sports, on the podcast page. Simply Butch2, that's too.podomatic.com. Butch, hang tight. We're going to be joined by Katie Wollan and then eventually Dave McCaig for the roundtable, so we'll talk to you here in a couple minutes.
Okay.
And we'll be back with more on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
The Wicked Sister, Soo, Michigan. The Wicked Sister has managed to create a casual menu that offers unique, creative, and sometimes healthy offerings that rivals menu selections of any big city. Both the kitchen and the bar are filled with a staff who are exceptional at their jobs, producing signature items that have made the Wicked Sister a destination for foodies and beer nerds alike. On Ashman Street, Soo, Michigan. Welcome to the Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
Thank you for tuning in to the game. Heard Monday nights from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street, downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, on Eagle 95.1 and online at radioeaglesoo.com. You can also hear the podcast of the show at thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. I hope that you are enjoying the broadcast. If you want to hear more of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports talk show, I encourage you to visit our website, thegamesportshow.com, and hear a pair of broadcasts from Soo, Ontario. Dave, Mr. Electric Avenue McCaig broadcasts a show on Wednesday nights from Sports Center Bar and Grill in Soo, Ontario, along with regular contributors Jamie Antonello, Justin Heichel, and Dane Handro. They focus on football with their very popular In the Pocket segment, talking about the National Football League, along with basketball, the NBA, and other sports, including but not limited to tennis, golf, soccer, and even the WWE. If you like hockey and baseball, Thursday nights are for you as the Game Sports Show is at Boston Pizza in Soo, Ontario. Dave McCaig, along with regular contributors Justin Heichel and Dane Handro, and Brad Cochamilio from SooToday.com. This show focuses on hockey in the winter, local and national hockey, along with baseball in the summer, and includes guests and interviews with local and national figures. Once again, you can hear 3 versions of the game at our website, thegamesportshow.com, or at the podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Also on the podcast page, you will find audio broadcasts of selected Soo Eagles home games, along with Brimley Bay's basketball and Soo High Blue Devil hockey. You can also find Butch Davis's show, Butch on Sports, on the podcast page, as well as my shows with Paul Van Wagner from ESPN Blacksburg on The Drive. You can also find us on YouTube. Look for the Scott Nason channel, and thank you for listening, and keep it locked here to the game for all your local, regional, and national sports talk that you just can't get enough of. Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or if you're a YouTube person, go to our YouTube channel. I'm having a hard time saying that tonight. Go to the Scott Nason channel. Want to thank Marcus Davis for joining us in the first hour, along with Katie Wollan, who is back here for the roundtable. Katie, thanks for joining us once again.
Thank you, Scott. I'm excited to be in this roundtable with Mr. Butch Davis as well.
That's right. Always good to have Butch on. Butch, thanks for joining us once again on the roundtable, my friend.
You're welcome.
There we go. And so we're going to be joined eventually here by Dave McCaig. He's hung up at work a little bit, so he'll be joining us during the latter portion of the roundtable. But before we get to that, I want to mention the Wicked Sister here, our host on the stateside edition of the game, has another tap takeover, which is happening next Thursday. Now, Katie and I were talking to Kathy, the owner of the Wicked Sister, and their tap takeover this past Thursday was amazing. They had tons of people coming in, and let's get a lot of people in for this one next Thursday, July 26th, as Pigeon Hill Tap will be taking over the taps at the Wicked Sister starting at 11 a.m., and Michael from the brewery, he'll be on site around 5 p.m. to tell viewers, listeners, and patrons of the Wicked Sister all about his brewing. And one other thing I wanted to mention, Katie, I have not mentioned this to you, nor Dave. Butch and I were talking later last week, and we are going to work out having Butch come here once we get back on the radio during the sports season, joining us live here at the Wicked Sister, and hopefully get into another sporting event or two. So what do you think of that, Katie?
Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
Butch, we're getting the buzz going. We're going to see you hopefully in September up here.
Yeah, that September is the month here. We gotta get it moving real good here. So I'm excited to get on up there and spread my wings here.
Spread your wings. Yeah, we'll talk more off air about that, Butch. But this is the portion of the show where we discuss a variety of topics in the sports world. Katie wanted to kind of hold her topic till at least Butch and I get one, for the hopes that Dave makes it over. As I say that, he's leaving work now and will be here at 7:30. So, Butch, I'm going to throw out the first topic and give you first crack. And, well, you knew I was going to talk about this one. The World Cup yesterday had its final, and it was France who defeated Croatia by the score of 4-2 to win their second ever World Cup. They also won back in 1988. And I just wanted your thoughts on France winning the World Cup and just the World Cup in general, as far as what your thoughts were. What are some of the things you enjoyed? And I'll give you the floor, sir.
I watched the parade today. I have never seen nothing like that in all my life.
Crazy, wasn't it?
And I mean, God, Lord, man. We're talking about a country and a main city getting it together. They got, I mean, the mass of people that I saw yesterday did not compare to the mass of people I watched today. They really were swinging. I mean, I saw so much smoke and fire. You know, if that was done in this country here, man, you know, they would be clearing the streets here. You're right. You know, very quickly. But I've never seen nothing like that, and it was wild. It was fun. No incidents occurring, which is, you know, I knock on wood on that one there. The World Cup to me this year was very good. I enjoyed the matches that were on there. You didn't really know that France was going to pull this off as expected, but they did. Croatia, not taking anything away from them, they played magnificent throughout the whole situation there. Many did not feel that they would be there. Same thing with Russia. Many did not feel that they would be there. It's a shame that the United States nor Canada was there. Mexico, during the first round, you know, they did very well until it came to that final match, and they get shut out there. But again, the World Cup was very good. You know, I give it a B+ for the coverage. I think Fox needs to do a better job of announcers on that particular, and that's my complaint there. You know, one announcer that you mentioned should have had the forefront of some of those major matches, and also bringing Gus Johnson in, who to me is the best announcer for soccer for Fox Sports in general there, and to me, one of the better announcers in all the sports in the United States. Fox got to use their head in getting the best people involved, not so much involving the foreign people that they got there, not taking anything away from some of the guests and some of the commentators for that there, but there's some people here I'm quite believing there, Landon Donovan and them. I think they should have did a better job of trying to reach out to those particulars and get them to give some emphasis on the matches as well there, but didn't do it. The United States, as I mentioned earlier in the show, they're going to have to do a better job of attracting kids to the sport here. Maybe they think they're doing well. Many of us think they're doing a very poor job of doing that, and hopefully they get it together. USA Soccer right now have a brand on their forehead to get this together. It's going to take 8 years to do it, but if it does, they put a reputable team in there. As you know, if it's going to be hosted in the United States, in Canada, and in Mexico, my question would be if those teams going to get an automatic bid, as most host teams get. But again, we won't know until probably later on if that's going to happen. But again, the World Cup was a very, very, very entertaining month to me here, and they should be proud of the work they did there.
Yeah, Butch, I'm going to comment on a couple of the things that you said during my portion, but I did want to mention, Katie, and to Butch, that I was on earlier today on ESPN Blacksburg with Paul Van Wagner on his show, The Drive, which you can also find on thegamesportshow.podbean.com. And Paul, who despite all the statements he made about not watching any of the World Cup, he actually watched part of the final yesterday.
Wow.
Believe it or not, Katie. I didn't say too much as far as if he enjoyed it, but he actually watched it. Katie, did you? I know you were busy with Gus Macker this weekend. Did you watch any of it, or do you have any thoughts on the World Cup?
Did I watch any of it? The answer is no. I think we all know that. But I did read an article maybe, and I just know that France won and Croatia screwed up, and I just kind of...
I don't know about screwing up. I think they were beat by a better team.
Well, that too, but
they had a couple mistakes.
They had like a semi-big mistake kind of in the beginning.
Yeah, the own goal never goes well if you're the team that scores the own goal.
I guess my question to both you, Scott, and Butch is, like, what do you think was that biggest mistake that led to France's victory from Croatia?
Sure, and I'll start because I wanted to comment on a couple things that Butch said. And Butch, you took the words right out of my mouth, because when I was on with Paul Van Wagner earlier today, I was saying the same sort of thing, because he asked the question to me, what does the U.S. have to do to get more competitive in soccer? If you look at Croatia, they're a country of 400,000. Or, excuse me, they're a country of 4 million, half the size of New York City. So it can be done. Now, the United States deals with a lot of their best athletes playing more sports than the European or even the South American teams. Most of the best athletes more than likely play football or soccer, whereas the United States, they're playing basketball, they're playing football. And I like what Butch said. It starts at the youth level. It starts at pouring money into the youth level and getting more of these kids out, getting people that are coaching that have experience. No offense to the parents that coach, because I've been a parent that coaches, but to get, maybe at those lower levels some more professional-like coaches, because in 2026 the U.S. is going to be hosting the World Cup along with Canada and Mexico, and they're going to have to figure out by then how they can be a little more competitive. Now, I believe the World Cup will be expanding to 48 teams in 2026, and I think the plan is, it's not official, but to have all three of the countries that were hosting it in 2026, much like they did in 2002 in South Korea and Japan. They both hosted it, they both got in. So with the expanding teams to 48, that will make it easier for those three teams to get in. But as far as the match yesterday, France was just too good. Croatia did make mistakes. They had an own goal, which is one of those things on a set piece when it's a corner and it's coming in fast. You're going to hit it off your head, and sometimes it's going to go to the right. Sometimes you're going to miss, and other times it's going to go off your head into the net. It's one of those things that happens in soccer. And unfortunately for Croatia, the same guy that had that happen also had a handball, which caused the penalty kick, which made France go up 2-1. I don't think there's much Croatia could have done as far as beating France. France just a good, very good team. A team that I thought was going to be very good in 4 years when the World Cup's in Qatar or Qatar in 2022. But boy, you are talking about the next big thing is now the big thing in soccer. 19-year-old Kylian Mbappe, youngest player to score a World Cup goal in a final since Pele back in the 1950s, and he had 4 goals in the tournament, named best young player of the World Cup. And, we talk a lot about Lionel Messi. We talk a lot about Cristiano Ronaldo, who are getting towards the end of their careers, although they're still both fantastic players. And they've been waiting for the next Messi or Ronaldo. We found them in Mbappe, and he has one thing that those two do not have. He has a World Cup trophy at 19 years old. Potentially, he could be in 3, who knows, maybe 4 more World Cups in 16 years. So France definitely deserving. And, Butch, I love what you said about the party. My goodness. And that shows just the passion that these countries have for the game of soccer. Butch has lived overseas. I lived overseas in England and really became a fan of soccer. I was kind of a quasi-fan before, not following it as much, but living over there, following a team. I adopted Chelsea back in early 2000s when they weren't a very good team. They were kind of a middle-of-the-road team, but I liked them, and well, boy, they got good eventually, and they just fired their manager last week, unfortunately. But it just shows the passion that a lot of people have and how much this tournament means for these countries. And so, Viva la France! They are the World Cup champions in 2018, and, well, the United States, they got a lot of work to do, in my opinion, if they're going to get to that level, because right now, France is on top of the soccer world, Butch.
Yes, well, again, to add on to that particular there, and you mentioned about coaching and whatnot here. Sometimes we get overwhelmed by, trying to get the best coach, the best this, the best that there. Participation is the key, and having fun is even better when you're doing something that you like there. And again, our country has not emphasized the fun portion of playing sports there. I think they have gotten overindulged, especially with parents involving with their children now, being the money maker when it comes down to some of these sports per se, especially in football, especially in basketball, and soccer. Again, to me, sometimes go with the exclusive than the inclusive there, and that attitude has to really change. We got to get more public schools, and I'm not saying the private schools. The private schools, I think, do a really good job of housing soccer and some other sports there, where you think they would not be able to do that because the majority of those private schools you're paying money for, and those kids also have to pay to play. But the public school system is not doing a very good job, especially when it comes to the elementary school level, of getting kids acclimated to sports in general. It used to be, when I was coming up, that was the thing to do, and the public school system did an incredible job of getting you acclimated. I looked at baseball per se there, and it's a very poor job of Americans getting kids acclimated to baseball, softball, kickball. The list goes on and on and on there. I mean, we got to do a better job of getting kids involved in athletics, not so much to be the money tree for their parents and families and friends, but just for the kids to go out there and have fun and have a good time of being able to participate in something that they love to do there.
Butch, let's keep it with you as far as the round table. What topic would you like to bring up next? And then Katie will give you first crack if you so choose.
Oh, God. I'm thinking the All-Star game. Now, let me get this off my chest here. I think the All-Star game could be a more incredible game if they add more players to it there. In years past, they had this particular voting system where they put up 4 players on each league, and you have 3 days to vote on them, which I think is a bunch of garbage. There's many players who deserve to be in the All-Star games that are not in the All-Star games because of the voting system they have for Major League Baseball, for people to come in there and get those particular players that they want to see in. And that's all well in general there. But some of the players who deserve to be there don't get in because of this aching type of situation they have in getting players in there. Carlos Stanton, I mean, that's stupid that, he doesn't get to play in the All-Star game or have to wait till someone get hurt in order to be elected to play or take someone's place. I just want to get your feelings on it there. Baseball is going down in attendance, down in certain areas there. Another sport that I think Major League Baseball has to do a better job of getting kids acclimated to playing baseball, softball, t-ball, etc., and put their money where their mouth is, because they should do it in the Latin countries and whatnot. They need to take care of home first.
Great topic, Butch. I have a lot to say about that, but we'll go to Katie first. Katie's going to defer on that one, so I will fill her segment with my thoughts. And, you've mentioned a lot of things, Butch, that I've wanted to talk about tonight without having to bring up the subjects. And yesterday, my good friend Don Supa, listener of the show, was over, and we were watching the World Cup final with my kids and girlfriend, and we were talking about how, we grew up in the same neighborhood here in Sault Ste. Marie, and, on a weekend, we would be outside. We would be outside playing sports, and one of the sports that we played a lot on the fields, even on a church parking lot, was baseball. And, boy, I don't know how it is in your area, but around these parts, you go around and try to find a pickup baseball game that's not organized by either the Little League or high school. You're not going to find one because kids do not play baseball other than on teams. And you see other sports, it's not quite as much as back when I was a kid, quote unquote, which was a while ago, but we used to go outside. We'd play flag football on the grass of St. Joseph Church. We'd play hockey. Many of us had rinks in our backyard. I wasn't much of a basketball player, but I played basketball in my friends' driveways or at some of the schools. You just do not see that anymore. And specifically baseball, I'm really concerned about, because my two kids are very much sports fans, and they'll watch baseball, but it just does not get the attention or the interest from the youngsters. And I think Major League Baseball is going to have a problem with that down the road. Myself personally, partly because the Tigers have not played well, but this has been the year where I've been least interested in baseball probably in a long, long time. Maybe since after the strike, when 1994, a lot of people kind of tuned out baseball for a while because they were mad at the strike and the greedy athletes. It's about the only other time I've been less interested in baseball. It could be the fact that the Tigers aren't doing so well. It could be the fact that hitting is really poor this year. Could be the fact that the World Cup has taken my attention for a month. But I was at trivia last weekend, and one of the topics was Major League All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby. And I was looking at the players in the Home Run Derby, and I'm looking at these starters in baseball. And I follow sports, and I got to be honest, I don't know a lot of these guys. And maybe that's shame on me for not paying attention. But Major League Baseball, they're having some issues right now, and I think a lot of it has to do with the youngsters maybe not having a lot of interest in playing baseball. And there are many that do, mind you. And our Little League program up here, it does have decent numbers, and our high school teams do have good numbers. But I'm talking about when they don't have to. That's what I'm concerned about is, a pickup baseball game in the neighborhood. I mean, that happened every weekend. You could always find it. Wiffle ball in the backyards of some friends. I mean, we used to rattle off the lineups for the 87 Tigers taking on the 87 Blue Jays, and I can still hear those names in my head. But Katie, looking at youth sports, and again, there's a lot more to distract the youngsters these days with video games. They had video games back when I was a kid, but now it seems to be prevalent. Kids just aren't playing sports the way they used to, are they?
No, they're not, and obviously I'm a basketball player, so I know what you're talking about, and it's more apparent that these kids are, if they are outside, they're playing basketball. There's an outdoor hoop, or who knows, they're just playing tag or something. But you're right, I never see anyone playing baseball anymore.
Softball.
Softball, yeah. I mean, I know I did when I grew up, and same for you, but you're right, Scott. I'd completely agree.
Butch, great topic. Your thoughts if you wanted to expand on anything.
Oh yeah, I'll expand on it greatly here. You would go, go back to the old Tiger Stadium days when, again, and I mentioned about the public school systems and whatnot. They're not getting these kids acclimated, are learning the game of sports. And that's normally when people get their first exposure of it in public schools and whatnot. With Jim, you used to be able to go to gym maybe 4 or 5 times a week, okay? And now very seldom that these kids get, they let them go outside and just run like the Dickens and whatnot. Then who knows what they're doing in those particular settings and whatnot. But there's nothing organized playing something and learning it and trying to, aggravate themselves or agitate themselves to have some fun there. And much of that has to come from the teachers and the system that puts together a grand program where, you have some organized sports and whatnot being dealt with there. Again, in the Tigers, when I mentioned Tiger Stadium, we used to have days like Free Bat Day, okay? That's unheard of these days in Major League Baseball, where the kids get absolutely on this particular day, we get a free bat. I remember when Tiger Stadium used to be rampant of 55,000 people, and they was turning away kids and giving them certificates to come back and pick up a bat, okay? Or maybe a week later because they ran out there. Free ball day. They don't do things like that. Free glove day, free hat day. They don't do things that what they do, let the kids run around the bases,
Right, big deal.
Okay, that's a joke. Okay, come on here. The big fat. They care more for the dogs and have dog in the park, bark in the park now. They're basically set up where basically they have programs or camps set up providing for these kids, to get them interested in the game. And not only just going in the rest sections of the town and trying to be exclusive in those areas, but coming to urban centers and basically setting up camps and clinics, or just the players just coming in the area and exposing themselves, where these kids see them on television, be able to say they got to see a particular player, or Willie Horton, or whatever it may be. Those were the things in my day that you got to get very much so excited with there. And nowadays, they don't do that anymore. They'll set up a shop in maybe a Myers 50 acres or something there, and for 2 hours, and then, they want to be very selective on what they sign. They'll have a picture there, and they sign the picture instead of signing a shirt or maybe a particular card they got or whatever it may be. And they sign the card, they want to charge you $20 and $40. That's a joke, man. And it's aggravating there. I mean, what child or what person can get excited over that there? Again, Major League Baseball, and I use them as the responsible party, they're going to have to work with Little League Baseball there in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and come up with a plan to get more children in the United States acclimated and playing baseball and getting excited about. The one thing I like that you said about, Scott, with the pickup games, we used to play blocks and whatnot. This block, play that block. And you had enough people and then some to put in replacements and whatnot. And that during the summer was a major thing here. We had games where the parents and people who didn't play would be out in the stands or be standing around the old diamond or whatnot, cheering people on, blocks showing up to cheer people on, maybe a couple fights here and there. Beer games, okay, when we got older and whatnot, there to find Drunk Sam or somebody at a liquor store or something to buy us a wine or whatever it may be.
There we go.
Don't tell your parents. Okay, please don't tell your parents. But again, those were the things that were motivational points where, we all got together, we all knew one another, we all had fun. It will be, you stayed out there when the sun came up until the sun went down. You was out there and having a great, great time and whatnot there. And that's just not happening anymore. And if baseball going to somewhat be successful, they're going to have to get kids back to being acclimated there. And maybe that comes from maybe the players leaving town by sundown when the season's over. Maybe it would be in Major League Baseball's interest, instead of going to Japan or Germany or Timbuktu, to maybe get some players to stay in town and during the winter months, okay, visit the schools, visit the certain recreational centers, and having the camps, having the availabilities for these kids to see these particular players and touch and be able to talk to them and get decent autographs and conversation there. That got to be done in order to increase the interest of baseball, especially with our kids now, and stop being so cheap when the giveaways. Everybody don't want to. I got more bobbleheads in my house to raise a century here. Let's give away some baseball bats. Let's get some kids, give them some gloves and whatnot to play ball. We used to play catch right in front of the house or whatnot there. I mean, come on, the interest is not there, and it's very disappointing.
Scott Nason, Butch Davis, and Katie Wollan on the game during our roundtable. We'll be joined by Dave McCaig here hopefully momentarily, as we'll have another show next Monday, July 23rd, and then on July 30th. And you can find Butch Davis's show, Butch on Sports, along with Dave McCaig's The Game Sports Show from Soo, Ontario, all on our podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com as well. You can find the game shows on thegamesportshow.com. Katie, we're still going to hold your topic off until Dave gets here, if that's okay with you. So I wanted to bring up another big sporting event that happened this weekend over in England. Wimbledon happened after kind of a slow first week as far as what was going on in Wimbledon. Boy, was it an exciting few days if you were a tennis fan this weekend. As yesterday, Novak Djokovic won in straight sets over Kevin Anderson, 6-2, 6-2, 7-6 to claim his fourth singles title at Wimbledon. This is Djokovic's first Grand Slam title since 2016's French Open. He now has 13 Grand Slam titles, as he is fourth on the all-time list behind Pete Sampras, who has 14, Rafael Nadal, who he beat in the who lost in the semifinals to Djokovic at 17, and Roger Federer with 20. But, to me, the story of the tournament was a couple things. Obviously, Djokovic winning, that's a big thing for him. But this Kevin Anderson guy, he's an 8th seed, so he wasn't an unknown tennis player. But he had two of the longest, grueling matches that you will ever see somebody have, including in the quarterfinals, as he beat Roger Federer in 5 sets, arguably the best player in all time for the men, winning 13-11 in the 5th set. And then in the semifinals, he takes on John Isner, a guy that's been involved in his own marathon at Wimbledon, as he won a set in 2010, 70-68, which I still just can't believe that ever happened. Well, it didn't go that far, but Anderson defeated Isner's 26-24 in the 5th set and pretty much ran out of gas against Djokovic. But the other story was Serena Williams. Now, she didn't win her 24th Grand Slam title. She did lose in straight sets to Angelique Kerber on Saturday for the women, 6-3, 6-3. But the fact that Serena Williams, who just had a baby not too long ago, got herself in shape, which is hard enough. I've never had a baby personally, but I have heard that it's very hard to get yourself in shape and then to be able to play at that level that she did. Little disappointing that she didn't win the final, but nothing disappointing about the fact that she had a tremendous tournament and is back, and I would expect that she will be in heavy contention to win the U.S. Open. So, Butch, lots of sports going on this weekend. What were your thoughts on Wimbledon?
Well, let me deal with the Serena Williams thing first there. I like what they said, okay, but, in a real world, the things or the objectives that she has to support her, many women don't have, okay?
Right.
They just cannot leave home with the baby and whatnot there, or get a nanny to take care of the baby and have to pay them in order for them to get back in shape and go to work. Again, it's a mammoth thing, especially with the husband, the kids, and if you have other children in the home and whatever it may be, to pull that together. And sometimes in her conversation of what she talked about there, it has to be recognized sometimes that more people have more difficulty than others. And the support that has to be done, if, again, a woman who's going to go back to work has to be there, or make it easier for that particular individual woman to get back in the swing of things if that is something they care to do. I think it was a little overkill on that thing. I think many women got turned on by it, and I think a lot of women got turned off by it because, they don't have the resources that Serena Williams do have in order to just go back out and do what she did in 10 months, much less 2 or 3 years, okay, which is the average of most women when they have a child, has to stay home until they find the legal support of which will find a babysitter, maybe a husband changing their shifts around where they can go to work and still make ends meet for the home. And then the catching up comes into play when it comes down to monies and resources just to take care of the family in general, and to build up to those particular maybe going back to school to refine yourself so you can get better employment or whatever it may be. So again, I think that was the overkill. As far as the matches are concerned with the USA, they're finally being represented in a Wimbledon, which is, especially for the men, hasn't happened in quite some time there. Another one turnoff I did have, they have 11 o'clock curfew in Wimbledon there. This place has a dome, okay, that they can close up, have lights and everything else going on, still with the green grass glowing there. And they need to take a look at that particular. For a player to have to stop what they're doing, go home, go to bed, only to get up early in the morning to complete that match, is kind of a downfall to me personally there, and that's a ruling that needs to be somewhat looked at very hard by Wimbledon in general, because I think they're the only one to do that and get that straightened out there. Those men should have been able to continue, maybe get a longer break or something of that nature, but again, to stop the match at that particular time, for those particular persons to unwind, go home, maybe get some nourishment, have to get back up, warm up, and groove your body down to a no-9-1. Sometimes it's harder to get your body back in sync the next day than it is you continue to play and all. They get a day off, okay, in order to complete that next match, which was the finals. And I just don't see any logic in that at all there. I enjoyed Wimbledon for what I saw, and the players who participated in it there, but some of the rulings they had there in that particular match at Wimbledon there, they need to overlook some of the rules there.
Great points there, Butch. I just wanted to add to what you said there. Yeah, I mean, some of the best matches that we see in tennis are the late-night matches, especially at the U.S. Open, as the Australian Open and the U.S. Open both have the lights, so they can do it. French Open doesn't have the lights, so they can't play those late ones. I totally agree. That Nadal match against Djokovic should have kept going. It was ridiculous that they had to stop because of the curfew. They need to change that. And, Katie, I wanted to add what Butch said. It's something I hadn't really thought about. A great point by him talking about Serena Williams, was impressive what she did, but I like what Butch said. Serena does have a lot of advantages that a lot of women that have babies do not. And many of them obviously aren't professional tennis players, but I can see where maybe that did draw some mixed reactions as far as people. I hadn't really thought of it that way, but a single mom of raising two kids that has a baby, she didn't have that long before she's got to go back to work or do something. So I can see both sides of the coin there with Serena Williams. Do you have a chance to watch any of the Wimbledon at all?
I have not, but every once in a while I'll watch tennis when it's on ESPN, and I just think overall she's just superwoman. For America, I just enjoy watching her, and she is the strongest woman, I think, in the history of sports.
I would not argue that. And speaking of strong men, we have Dave McCaig joining us here at the Wicked Sister, host of the Game Sports Show from Boston Pizza, Sports Center Bar and Grill, and Silver Creek Golf Course in Sioux, Ontario. Mr. Electric Avenue, he calls himself. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing great, Scotty. How you doing, pal?
Well, it's good to have you on here, Dave. I did want to get your thoughts real quick before we get to Katie's topic here on the roundtable. As we got some sad news yesterday, the passing of former Soo Greyhounds netminder Ray Emery, who drowned in Lake Ontario early Sunday morning. I know you talked a little bit about it on your show last night from Boston Pizza. A guy I never had a chance to see because I was in the Navy during that time when he was playing junior hockey, so I really didn't get a chance to see him here in Sault Ste. Marie, but obviously playing in the NHL. Just another sad story for the world of hockey, which has had too many sad stories in 2018.
Lots, and it all started even with Vegas this year with the shooting in Vegas, right? And,
right.
Going to Ray last night, myself, Brad, and Justin talked about it, and the news was breaked yesterday. And obviously, Brad, who just started out with the Hounds when Ray Emery came into the junior ranks here at the Hounds, and I was able to share kind of a memory that I had of Ray when I was young. I was about 12 or 13 when Ray was with the Sault Ste. Greyhounds just about. And I remember waiting outside the locker room like most kids did at a certain age, and I remember Ray coming out and actually coming and recognized me because I met him before at some hockey camps that I was at, being around some professional hockey players and professional role models like Zach Turquato and Tyler Kennedy at a young age.
Sure.
I was able to really get to know like guys like Ray and also Trevor Daly and those guys, and Ray recognized me from the crowd and said, "Hey, Dave, come over here." And I remember him calling me over, giving me a tour in the locker room, and taking a picture with me, signing the jersey that I still have at home, which is great as well, right? A lot of people pointed fingers at Ray and said how his antics off the ice defined how on the ice defined how he was off the ice. That's extremely false. I remember Ray when he was here was just a kind guy who did well for the community of Sault Ste. Marie, was a fan favorite, and obviously was an all-star goaltender. He went to the National Hockey League. He's the reason why one of the big reasons why Ottawa made the Stanley Cup Finals in 2007, ultimately to lose to a very good Anaheim's Ducks team with Niedermeyer and with Pronger on that team, and the kid line at the time with Getzlaff and Perry and Penner. Dustin Penner, so
getting jiggy with it, too.
Yeah, again, that's right. Can't forget that. And also, with the Ottawa Senators, that's where a lot of people really defined his role as a goaltender. Then he went over to Philadelphia, then ultimately went to Chicago and won a Stanley Cup in 2013. He had some issues on the ice. A lot of people remember the fight when he was with Philadelphia when he fought Martin Biron. Apparently didn't get along with teammates, and he was over in Russia, apparently fighting the Russian trainer, which was all proven that was accurate, obviously, over in Russia. But sure, on the ice or in the organization, a lot of people consider him to be a negative in that, but his talent on the ice is unspeakable, and it's amazing how good of a guy he was, I feel, off the ice from what I remember him as. And he always did work in the community in the Soo when he was there. He was a young kid, right, trying to make his way up, and he did. And, he loved the game of hockey, and he showed that when he fought. And that's one of the best moments I remember with Ray Emery. He's competitive. He had an edge. He backed up his team. He was always up to the challenge at all times. He battled adversity from being criticized for being an overrated number one goalie when Philadelphia brought him in, but that's obviously false. Look what he did in Ottawa. Then obviously, backing up in Chicago and him winning the Stanley Cup was much deserved. He was backing up Corey Crawford. He ended up winning the William N. Jennings Award with Corey Crawford because he played over 15 games in that locked-in short season. So, and Chicago had its best year that year. They won 22 straight games, right? And when we learned about it, I remember the times when that I met Ray, and then obviously the National Hockey League. I remember how good of a goalie that he truly was, and everything that's said about him off the ice, how he is, or in the locker room, even whatever comes out of fruition with this incident, if anything relates to the use of stuff that shouldn't be of use, it doesn't really matter. I don't think people should pinpoint that and really shouldn't put him down for that. Ultimately, we're all human. We're all, we all do things that probably maybe we shouldn't have. Him jumping in a lake at 6 a.m. is probably not something that would be recommended, but at the end of the day, we're still human, and he's living a life. And, a freakish accident happened, and the condolences for sure out to his family and friends, and obviously even some billet family in Sault Ste. Marie that used to take care of him. So, it's definitely sad, and that was also the day that was Michael Doan's year anniversary.
Right, I was thinking
yesterday.
that, yeah.
And I said that on my show yesterday, and, Michael Doan, I'm not saying that he's a Ray Emery by any means, but I'm saying that was definitely just a sad day all around when you think of the year anniversary of Michael, and just hockey lost a great a role model and a great guy yesterday.
Continue our roundtable. Dave McCaig, Katie Wollan, Scott Nason, and Butch Davis. Katie, let's go to your topic. Butch, I'll give you first crack, and then Dave. So I know you've been holding this off till Dave gets here, Katie. We'll go to Butch first. What would you like to bring up on the roundtable tonight?
Well, I know Dave's already kind of touched on it in the past couple weeks because I know the NHL draft was back in end of June. I just wanted to know from Dave what he thinks is like the best rookies you see coming in from this NHL draft, and what teams are going to benefit the most from them.
See, there's a couple things I was very surprised of that happened in the draft. First, I'll say, like Barrett Hayton, all due respect, I was very surprised that Arizona picked him at 5, but listen, Arizona's looking for a dark horse, and that could be it. But to answer your question, Katie, the teams that I really stuck out to me were the Islanders and Red Wings. And I was also happy with Toronto's moves, getting down against Sandin and adding some more assets.
Signed a contract today?
Yeah, signed his entry-level contract. But the big teams that I felt had home runs at the draft were definitely the Islanders and the Red Wings, because Wahlstrom and Dobson, defensemen that the Islanders draft 11th and 12th respectively, Wahlstrom's a forward, but talent, just pure goal-scoring talent. I don't know how he went that late. and I don't know how Dobson went that late. I thought Dobson was the second best defenseman in the draft, and Dahlin's obviously the best because he went to Buffalo. So I think the Islanders have had a great offseason with subtraction and prospect additions. Even though they lost Tavares, I think that's a blessing in disguise for them because of some young guys they have coming up they need to secure with the cap. But now with the Red Wings, Philip Sedina, I don't know how he went as late as he did. I thought he was one of the best wingers the draft just as comparable as Svechnikov. I can't pronounce his name still that well, but definitely the Wings got a steal there. But their biggest steal in the draft was drafting Joseph Valeno at 30. That is an absolute amazing draft pick. That guy I felt was a top 15 talent, and I think Butch can agree with that as well. And I think we've discussed that Joseph is going to be a top 6 centerman with the Detroit Red Wings organization, I feel, and having him and Zdeno down the road together, possibly playing together, definitely is going to, Detroit fans should be very excited with that. And, with me talking positive about the Islanders and Wings, that I'm being honest because us being rivals with the Red Wings, I know that a lot of Red Wing fans should be excited, but even Islanders fans should be excited for their future for what they drafted as well.
Butch, any thoughts on Katie's topic as far as rookies to watch, the NHL draft in general?
Well, I'll piggyback on Dave there, and basically it's very simple. I have not seen so many kids get drafted this year that has a tremendous opportunity of staying with their parent club. I think you're going to see a smorgasbord of those kids who got drafted, especially in the first and second round. Might and most likely will hook up with their parent clubs there. The range of talent that I saw this year in the draft is really tremendous. And years past is always maybe that 1 or 2 or 3 players diamond in the rough that would maybe get a chance to go to the parent clubs. This year is a lot different, where you're going to see a whole heck of a lot of those kids get shots immediately with the parent club. I know the Red Wings in general, that Rasmussen and Zdeno, they will most likely go to the major team there, and the Red Wings are a fool if it doesn't happen that way there. The Islanders is another team that right now is going to have those particular young kids that they got. They are fooled if they don't bring them to the parent club immediately and let them get their experience. Even down to Las Vegas got a pretty good doggone diamond in the rough there. Again, big opportunity to be able to come to the parent team this year rather than to go do time in the minors in there and maybe get called up maybe 1 or 2 years later there. I think just off the talent this year in hockey, for as far as the draft is concerned, was very, very, very elegant as far as not only in the United States and Canada, but also in the foreign countries as well there. Sweden got a good punch in there. Russia got some good punches in there of getting some kids up there. So I thought it was a very good deal, and I think a lot of clubs is going to benefit if they do bring those kids up immediately to those parent teams and get them started rather than take them to the minor leagues and get them started later.
You see, Butch, I think you might agree with this too. One individual that I thought the Ottawa Senators got a good steal with that Tkachuk kid. I'm a big fan of Tkachuk. I know Montreal fans. Montreal drafted based on position need, besides best player available. So I'd like to get your kind of talk, just to kind of echo off Katie's topic here. Jesperi Katanimi, I still can't pronounce his name.
Close
Montreal, enough. Yeah. But the Montreal Canadiens being the center, do you think the Montreal Canadiens made a mistake drafting the position that they needed instead of best player? And I want your take on Tkachuk, because I'm a big fan of Tkachuk. I'm a big fan of those type of players, those two-way players. I love big defensemen, which is why I'm a Jamie Oleksiak fan, a Tyler Myers fan. I love big, strong defensemen that can shoot the puck. So it'd be very interesting to see what you think about Brady Tkachuk, because I feel that he could be better than his brother. I know he has his head on straight more than his brother does. No offense to him, but I see a lot of Keith when it comes to Brady, a lot more than I saw with Matt. So I'd like to get your take on him.
Butch, we'll go to you before I wrap up this topic.
Again, they would be a fool not to bring him up immediately up into the parent club there. Again, you in the past you would see them draft kids that you had no idea where they fit in there. And this year, with the amount of talent, maybe it's the exposure that I got from watching a lot of hockey, college-wise, as well as being exposed to some of the minor league stuff that's going on there in some of their parent cities, that, you got the see these kids a lot firsthand and whatnot. And then also they expose a lot more foreign teams overseas to be able to see some of the players that right now the NHL has now. I think Ottawa would be a fool, okay, not to do. Montreal lately, and I don't know if you agree or disagree, has always went after position players, but not only the position player, but the player being big, okay? How tall they was, how big they were, how much weight they carried and whatnot. And I think sometimes that's a downfall for Montreal because they've always have been good at getting the skater and the two-way player, and it didn't matter how big or small they were. If they were the best at what they do as far as skating is concerned, Montreal had the pick of the chicken when it come down to getting good players who can skate very well there. And hopefully they don't lose that interest in getting good skaters on there. I know they're bigger than ever before there. And now, if you get to go to a game where Montreal's involved, they're one of the bigger teams in the National Hockey League as far as size is concerned, next to the LA Kings and also the San Jose team as well there. Big people there on the ice there. Much different to say that, like Tampa Bay, for instance, they appreciate on good skaters there, and they're not as big as majority of the teams have been. The Red Wings are now getting bigger, but again, I think they're getting back to the issue of getting good skaters on the team rather than looking at size and strength there, looking at ability to get squeezed through holes or do tricky things with the puck, with the stick. You need more players of that magnitude there, and hopefully Montreal doesn't miss out on that. They catch up with maybe what made Montreal Montreal.
I'll just add one thing, guys, because we're running short of time. I agree. That number 30 pick by the Wing, Joseph Leno, I think potentially could be a huge pick for them. I like this guy. I think he has potential to be as good as anybody in the NHL draft this year. Dave, we got time for one more topic. Katie, I'll give you first crack if you want it. I'll take second. Butch, third. What would you like to bring up on tonight's roundtable, sir?
We discussed it yesterday on the Game Sports Show, the Boston Pizza edition, and we didn't really get into it as much. And it was a Major League, it's a baseball's All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've discussed
We talked about it a little bit, but go ahead.
I know we've discussed it previously on the show a little bit, but it's good to dive into it now, even with Katie's take and Butch's more in-depth take, because you and I have discussed it on live radio. Mm-hmm. The home run derby is great in terms of entertainment. I actually really enjoy the home run derby, very much so. When it comes to the game, I actually would watch it on TV because the game means something. It gets you that home field advantage in the World Series for Game 6
Does
and 7.
it still do that?
I believe it still
No.
does. I don't know.
We'll have to double check on that. Butch, is it still home field for the winner this year?
No.
Didn't think so. I thought they changed that.
Pulled that out 2 years ago.
2 years
they
ago.
did pull it. Okay,
yep.
so I'll continue on another side then. Do you think that All-Star games should mean something? That means in hockey. In football, I know baseball's taking it away, obviously, so obviously they didn't like that part of the game, which I actually disagree with. I think that it should mean something. I like when players go and work hard. I know NHL GMs won't like that if Sidney Crosby goes in the corner and gets lambasted from Shea Weber in the corner or something. But at the end of the day, I think the All-Star game should mean a little bit more than what it does, especially on a hockey perspective.
Katie, any thoughts? She's going to point to me. I really don't watch the All-Star games in any sport, to be quite honest. The one I did watch back when I was more into baseball was baseball, even before it meant home field advantage when they did that for a few years. But I think it's fine the way it is. I don't think it needs to mean anything because it doesn't mean anything to me. Obviously, the Pro Bowl is probably the least of the four as far as meaning something. Looking at when it's played, and obviously they don't have teams in the Super Bowls, players playing because that would affect their thing. I'm not into it. I'm not into the NHL and what they've tried to do. I liked when they had the Prince of Wales and the Campbell Conference, and it was a lot simpler than when they did fantasy drafts, and I think that's ridiculous. They should be East-West and just end the darn thing. So I'm okay with the way the NHL, the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball does their All-Star games because, got to be honest, I really don't watch them in general. What's your thoughts?
I think them all stink here, really and truly here. The NBA, they have gotten better throughout the years there. The National Football League, I don't even want to talk about it there. That's a joke. NHL, I like the East-West situation, making it very simple and complete. Major League Baseball, I go along with Dave there. It has to be competitive. The game has to mean something. They need to go back to the winning side, of winning that particular game. Gets the home field advantage for the World Series. Sorry about that there, but it got to mean something. And also, like I mentioned earlier, they need to expand the rosters there. I think it's a big fat joke when you use the voting system on 4 guys during the week for 3 days to determine who's going to be the last player in there. They need to expand the rosters. They don't have that situation where they don't have enough pitchers or enough position players to go on in. That's a big fat joke. It's changing the game. It's changing the visibility of the game there. I like the home run derby per se there. But again, even with the home run derby, I don't think they put enough players in there who deserve to be there with the home run derby as well. Conceivably, I think the home run derby can run maybe on a Sunday instead of that little funky little all-star game of the college players and whatnot there, and put stage 1 and the final match where you got the 8 runners up in that particular there to go on Tuesday night, where it's the big fan hoop out there. So I think it'll be a lot more simpler. A lot more people can participate in it. A lot more players who deserve to be in the game should be placed in the game. And I know the fans notice it. And when they don't watch these games, those are the reasons why.
Dave, your final thoughts on your topics before we get to our thumbs up and thumbs down.
I say quickly that I know it depends on the sport, and especially in the NFL, I think it'd be very tricky to make that as meaningful as something, because with already having 16 games this season plus playoffs, the players go through a hell.
Sure.
That's the way I would like to put it. You know, they get the concussions in that sport is astronomical, and then they don't. So I would like it to mean something, though. I would like to see it maybe geared towards more maybe individual awards even, or something of accolades towards the next season, or more charity involvement. I'm not sure. I know they already do some charity work there, but if they can have a higher involvement in the NFL. But when it comes to the NBA, when it comes to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, I know they actually do try pretty hard, the players, you know, getting home runs. Basketball players try their trick plays, except on defense, they're laxy days, like James Harden on a daily occurrence. But I'm a big fan of the games meaning something. In hockey, again, a little bit tricky because of the body contact and that, but you can make, I like that home field advantage, and why baseball took that away, I find, and I tremendously disagree, because the game means something. It attracts more fans, the players take it more seriously and are a bit more competitive, and with NHL, you can certainly do that as well. You can follow what the Major League Baseball did. You can have that home ice advantage for Game 6 and 7. The same with the NBA. I like when the game means something. It ultimately has to, because it adds that additional excitement, and it gives the players a bit more incentive to be there.
Great topics and discussion as always, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to our thumbs up and thumbs down. We'll start with you, Katie. Do you have any thumbs up and thumbs down for the week?
I guess my thumbs up of the week, Scott, would be the Denver Nuggets.
Oh.
And I'm going to say because Isaiah Thomas has now committed there,
Right.
agreed or has actually signed now, I'm pretty sure. And he's going to be, and also Nikola Jokic, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, he has re-signed, and he's like their franchise player. And then you have the sixth man, Will Barton. He's on a long-term contract, and that was as of last week, July 9th. And also, of course, drafting Michael Porter Jr. as the number 14th pick, who a lot of people have argued that he could have been projected the number 1 pick, but since, you know, all the medical issues and everything. So I think they have a good franchise going there right now, and I think Isaiah Thomas can contribute, especially with Jamal Murray with the
Canadian
point guard position right there. Yes.
Great thumbs up. Any thumbs down?
Thumbs down. I'm going to have to pass on this one, guys.
You're just keeping it positive.
Yeah, I'm keeping it positive.
I like that.
I got all thumbs up as well this week. Thumbs up to France, Vive la France, winning the World Cup in convincing fashion. It was a very watchable match there. So if a lot of people only watched a soccer match and they watched that one, that was a good match to watch. It was good for soccer, seeing some goals and such, seeing some pitch invasions there as the band Pussy Riot, that's not me saying that, that's the name of the band, stormed the field there midway through the second half. And so thumbs up to France winning the World Cup. Thumbs up to Kevin Anderson, the South African tennis player who made it to the final of Wimbledon, winning 2 5-set matches, 13-11 in the 5th set against Federer and 26-24 against John Isner. It was a great tournament by him, and thumbs up. And thumbs up to Croatian President Zelinda Grabar-Kitrovic. Now, she won a lot of fans yesterday. If after the World Cup they had the chairman of FIFA, you had Vladimir Putin, who's in the news today, Trump with our president. No, Trump wasn't there. He was in Helsinki at that point. But you had Putin there with the umbrella. It was a pouring, driving rainstorm when they gave out the medals. The Croatian president, she was in her red and checkered Croatian jersey, didn't use an umbrella. She was getting absolutely drenched. What I liked about it, when the players were all coming, she gave each player a big hug on both France's and Croatia's side. I just thought it was a lot of class by her. She didn't need the umbrella. She wasn't all dejected. I just thought that was a really nice touch by her. But to be so welcoming to both the France and Croatian players and not needing an umbrella like Putin. Come on, Putin. You're supposed to be a tough guy. You ride tigers and stuff. Oh, needs an umbrella. Give me a break. Butch Davis, your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
I'm going to double down on that. That young lady was magnificent during the award ceremony there. Embraced every player that came across that stage there. That's what good sportsmanship is all about there. I hope that many people got to watch that because, again, Croatia making some of the mistakes they made in the particular game there, but still honorable to be there and work their behind off. And the leader of the country showing that sportsmanship is greatly needed. Hopefully many get involved in that particular phase of the game there. Win, lose, or draw, we can all be friends there. And bottom line on the USA soccer in general there, let's get going. Let's start doing a better job in getting kids acclimated to the sport in general there.
Dave McCaig, your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
So attracted by this yummy deliciousness right here that I see to my right.
We're talking desserts, or what are we talking about here, Dave? Let's get to your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week.
I have to go double with you on the France, giving them the thumbs up. I like Justin Heichel's little reference yesterday. France won something.
Yeah,
that's funny. But they did win. They did win the FIFA World Cup, so I got to give them a thumbs up. And I'm essentially echoing my thumbs up and thumbs down from yesterday. So I go to the thumbs down on the Ray Emery tragedy. Yeah. Obviously, that's where I'm going with it. Especially on the day that it fell out of, which was a tragic day in Sault Ste. Marie, obviously, for the year anniversary of Michael Doan. So, it was definitely a saddened day for the world of hockey.
Dave, lots of shows from your side of the pond on thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. You had a brand new edition last night from Boston Pizza. What's on the tap? What's on the agenda, I should say, for this week?
I like how you said it's on tap.
Tap, yeah. There's so many taps around here. I can't even keep track.
Pretty soon there's going to be some other tap as well that maybe I can't still say yet, but little teaser out there. But I got to say first off to listeners for their patience this summer, all the special editions we're having and the new sponsors coming in and all the different agendas, and it's good that we do it on a week. That's why my introductions are so long on my show.
Yeah, Scotty. Right. Yeah, it takes 10 minutes. Yeah.
I knocked that down to 6 yesterday.
Okay,
I got down to 6.
Good.
I got it started. But mainly, it's good that we do it week by week to state what it has been altering weeks between Boston Pizza and Silver Creek. We're on our bye week for Sports Center this week, so we'll be Thursday at Boston Pizza 7:30. We'll probably arrive on 7:15, get set up, and Matt D'Agostini is coming on the show live this week. Former Montreal Canadiens player, St. Louis Blues, and Buffalo Sabres.
Very
a friend of mine. Very excited to have him come by. He's also married to my cousin, Tony, so hopefully he brings little Luca by and his child. It'll be cool to see his kids. Sunday, we'll be at Silver Creek at noon, and the special guest we have on Sunday is newly re-signed Vegas Golden Knight defenseman Colin Miller.
Look at you. Look at this guy.
Colin Miller coming on this week. So big agenda this week with the show. D'Agostini and Miller will be coming on. D'Agostini on Thursday, and then Colin Miller on Sunday, obviously.
I got to give another thumb up to your cousin Mario. He always remembers my birthday every year and sends me the most beautiful texts. And
it's
so
funny.
Thumbs up to Mario.
He texted me that, and he said, "Did you know it's Scott's birthday?" I said, "Of course." I
didn't recognize it.
But yeah, you didn't. That was a fun night. But I told him he's got to come on the show, like if it's here or if it's on my side. And he always says, "Yes, I'll be on." Then we just don't text.
Well, we're gonna text him and get him on here. Katie. How's the sales going on Eagle Radio? You getting in the groove?
Yeah, Scott, thanks for asking. Sales has been going good. We just made a sale
Groovy,
final
babe.
today with Fat Boutique. So
Very
happy
good.
To get Tara
Brand
on
new
board.
sponsor, yep.
Yep. So every week we probably get at least one or two, so it's nice to keep it going.
Well, keep up the great work,
Thank
and we'll
you,
talk
Scott.
to you next week on the game, as well as you, Dave. Thanks for
course.
coming over. And Butch Davis, what is on tap for you, sir? Of course, you can find your shows at thegamesportshow.podbean.com or on Butch on Sports at simplybutch2.podomatic.com. What's your schedule look like this week, sir?
Basically getting ready for the friendly match at University of Michigan. Again, I mentioned that on the 28th there, Manchester United against Liverpool. This week, sneaking by and seeing how many schools are not obeying the law and having football players out there practicing and whatnot here.
Right.
And get some sneak peeks at some coaches and have some conversation with them. And also going to do a series on soccer and why is it that USA is not very much so in-depth in getting kids more into sporting events, which is goes for a lot of schools that doesn't do a lot of things like golf and tennis and whatnot. Beautiful places to play these particular games, and these resources and these places are not being used. So it's going to be a 2 or 3 week process on this particular story, but again, hopefully we can get some grease behind it there and get some food for thought from the community to basically get more involved in sports in general for the kids. Not so much on the competitive mode to make money, but to get the kids to get out there and have some fun.
Butch, always a pleasure to have you on our show. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week here at the Wicked Sister for another edition of the game.
I will be ready.
Looking forward to it. Want to thank Butch, Katie, and Dave, and our special guest, Marcus Davis. That'll do it here from the Wicked Sister. We'll talk to you next Monday night for another edition of the game here on Eagle 95.1.